And welcome back to the Hot Lap. We are talking all the news and all the practice details coming out of F1 Friday. Yes, we had practice 1 and 2. McLaren looked to be fairly strong. George Russell didn't do too bad either, but that is very much not the full story, because I want to talk to you about McLaren's next Prodigy, or McLaren's new Prodigy. But before we get into McLaren's new Prodigy, yes, they're still talking about this. Toto Wolff confirms Mercedes' interest in signing Max Verstappen. He kind of officially confirmed it, as opposed to just thinking of it being a rumour. The Mercedes chief had made clear his interest in signing Max Verstappen for 2025 and is open to pairing him even with George Russell. That's interesting. What on earth is going to happen to Kimi Antonelli? For the record, we've said no. I don't think it will happen. Max Verstappen, as good as he is he really a Mercedes fit? He comes with baggage in relation to how he is on the track, how he is off the track, talking to the media. Will he be very good with the sponsors? I'm sure he'll be professional at times. Will he be good to his race engineer over the air? He doesn't seem very Mercedes. He's not corporate. Once again, that's why many people like him. And also, he will have to change teams. He will go from a very pointy car that's designed for him to a car that's certainly not designed for him. And Mercedes is not really a one-man team, especially now Lewis is gone. But even with Lewis, when you had Lewis and Bottas and Lewis and George, they did, to be fair, treat them fairly equally, Lewis and Rosberg, until obviously one of them could not win that championship. So let me have a look at this. This was 15 years ago today, as of yesterday, if I'm honest. Mark Webber goes absolutely flying at Valencia and then into the wall. I remember seeing this live thinking, oh, holy heck. This is a really bad one, and he ended up. The fact that he got out was absolutely amazing. I was very, very happy. But there, look, he sees Sky. It's just one of the scariest crashes we've had. And yeah, well, I think it was Valencia, wasn't it? So well done for being okay. So moving on from that, let's now talk about a certain Prodigy, Alex Dunne. So never done a practice session before, comes into practice 1 using Lando Norris's vehicle and puts that said vehicle in position number 4 as a rookie on his debut. Yes, you can make an argument that McLaren is the best car, but wow. And this is what he had to say on the radio. Let's
down in P11, such is the performance, the competition in F1 these days.
I want to say a massive thank you. Thank you. The boys 3 came through. This is definitely the best day of my life. So
this is definitely the best.
Thanks Lando as well for trusting me with this car.
Thanks Lando. Good job as well. That was quite
best day of my life. I mean,
thank you, everyone. It means a lot.
Oh, there we go. How wholesome is that? Well done, Alex. This was him after really upbeat after practice. This is from McLaren's Facebook page. It's just quicker.
Super happy.
Absolutely.
I think it's safe to say it went pretty well. I think we knew going through the session that the goal wasn't necessarily for performance. It was more to help out with the car, help land.
It was for him to get used to the car, but he was on potentially. We don't know the fuel loads he was on, though. We don't know the engine mode he was on. He wouldn't have been on the maximum engine mode. I don't think so. They would have still wanted to go through their practice runs, but still, very impressive.
Help Lando. And kind of just help the team improve as much as they can for FP2, FP3, and then onwards into the weekend. So to have the pace that I had and show what I'm capable of on the F1 stage is something pretty special. So a massive thank you to McLaren and everyone for the opportunity, and I'm extremely grateful.
There we go. Yeah, absolutely. And this guy does have some talent, because this is the Formula 2 grid for the sprint race where he's put it on 3rd. Absolutely well done, Alex Dunne. I mean, fantastic. And not only that, when we look at the F2 drivers' standings, he is in P1 as a rookie on 87 points, 2 wins. I mean, he's beaten people like Luke Browning, Lindblad, who's also a rookie. I mean, this guy, impressive. Will he win in his rookie year? Well, there's some suggestion that even if he doesn't win in his rookie year, he keeps doing as good as he is. There's, a strong suggestion that he's going to be pulled from F2 anyway, and probably maybe the spare driver, maybe, in a sense, but that's absolutely amazing. Now, when you look at the practice 1 times, obviously we had George Russell fastest on a 105.5, then just a tiny bit slower Max Verstappen, then we had Oscar Piastri, then Alex Dunne pretty much within a tenth of the Australian. Absolutely amazing. Bortoleto in 6th, Albon in 7th, Carlos Sainz in 8th, Lewis Hamilton 9th, Isaac Hadjar in 10th. These are all within half a second of each other. Kimi Antonelli in 11th, Nico Hulkenberg 12th, Lance Stroll 13th, and then Alonso 14th, and then Lawson, Colapinto, Tsunoda. We had Dino Beganovic, who was the Ferrari, who was racing, well, not racing, you know, practicing in the Ferrari. And then we had Ocon and Behrman, sadly, the two slowest in the Haas. Fastest, though, because free practice 1, as we keep on saying, doesn't really mean that much, but fastest in free practice 2, we've got Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, and Max Verstappen in 3rd. Now, to be fair, when we get into those practice times, Lando Norris was 1.5 tenths faster than Oscar, which I think, bearing in mind he missed the first practice, and this is one of those circuits that's easy to learn, hard to master. I think that's absolutely fantastic from Lando. Now, as a lot of people have said, and I've heard on podcasts, and I can't deny the fact that when we talk about Lando Norris, you can be fastest practice 1, Q1, Q2, amazing, Q3, it all drops out. That may well happen for qualifying. I really hope it doesn't. And I hope it doesn't for Lando's sake. Max Verstappen about 3 tenths off Lando's pace, and Lance Stroll in 4th. What's going on? Well done, Lance. Can he keep that up? Leclerc in 5th. Tsunoda 6th. Bortoleto in 8th. That is not bad at all. Fernando Alonso 9th. Lewis Hamilton all the way down in 10th. Nearly a second off Lando Norris. In terms of his teammate, though, he's about, about 3 tenths off. Still, around this track. Kimi Antonelli 11th, Lawson 12th, Isaac Hadjar 13th, Pierre Gasly 14th, Esteban Ocon in 15th. Then we have Albon, Sainz, Behrman, Hulkenberg and Colapinto rounding out your top 20. Colapinto last. I really hope he sorts that out. Everyone's saying this is the end of his Austria marks, I think, the end of this 5-race deal he allegedly has. Yeah, we'll see. But he hasn't set the world alight. I think that's a fact. This is the lap delta, fastest, showing obviously in another way, the Colapinto 1.6 off. But I thought this was quite interesting. I always find the sector times quite interesting in terms of McLaren dominated every sector. And their ideal lap is 4 tenths faster than the next fastest, which is Red Bull. Half second faster than Aston Martin. And then when you look at Mercedes, they're 7 tenths off in practice too, and which is significant. Because Ferrari about 4 tenths off. When you look at Ferrari's ideal lap, Haas are the slowest, 1.1 seconds off, 1.192. But significantly, Williams, 1.1 seconds off. That's not particularly great, is it? For Williams, who I think I'm potentially going to struggle. This is obviously the ideal times for the drivers, and it's all about Lando Norris. Interestingly, the Lance Stroll's fastest sector 2, which is all about the turns. So that car being set up nicely for those difficult corners. And there we go. There is Charles Leclerc, which I think, which I thought was very, which I thought was very, very interesting, very, very telling. And Charles Leclerc turning into a lawnmower, like Bottas did, I believe, in 2020. Someone put on Google Maps, didn't they? Bottas lawnmower services, or something very similar. Now, before we go, I thought this was quite interesting. The telemetry data, which obviously we spoke about here. Track dominance, it's pretty much obviously a McLaren fest. But then when you look at the straights, Red Bull seems to have a fairly speedy car in a straight line. And I thought these are the long ones. But what I thought was really interesting is this here, the DRS Delta data from FP2. Now, as you can see, the colours there are without the DRS, the solid colours, and the kind of like, colours of the lines are with the DRS. So Aston Martin 305. Without the DRS, and then 325 with the DRS. They are the fastest. Next up, though, no surprise there when you look at the track dominance, is Red Bull. 308, which is, they've always been very good, and 324 plus 16, not the plus 20 that Aston Martin has. McLaren, 322 plus 16, the same as Red Bull, but they start from a couple of kilometres per hour slower, which is interesting because Red Bull have always been in a different league when it comes to the DRS. So that's quite interesting. Who though do we think is going to dominate practice, dominate qualifying? I think it's very much going to be a McLaren 1-2, which may have a guest star of Max Verstappen if you can get it up there. George Russell has kind of lost a bit of pace, but you can never round off George Russell. The Ferraris, I don't think, are going to feature. I think if they can get on the second row at the most, that will be successful for Ferrari. I think Lando Norris, he knows this track. I'm not saying it's his to lose, but he has to get pole position. He really has, and he has to win the race. And pole position will be the start of that. He just needs to get it together in Q3. I think he's faster than Piastri here. It all depends on his head. I think Piastri will either be second or third, depending on how nailed on that Red Bull and Max Verstappen. As we know, they don't run the cars as fast as McLaren normally, and also they seem to be very successful when it comes to setting the car up overnight. Anyway, that's pretty much it. If you want to subscribe and you're not subscribed, please do. That'll be absolutely amazing. But until then, once again, congratulations to Alex Dunne. We'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much, and above all else, stay safe.